In today's video, we're going to replace one ceiling light in this room with a series of canned lights. Let's start off by the tools that you need. So first off, you're going to need some wiring. So here we have a 15 amp circuit. So I'm going to be using 14-2 wiring. If you have a 20 amp circuit, you would want to use 12-2 wiring. Now, I am not an electrician, so proceed with caution. Next is I like to have a voltmeter. So this is able to help you test to make sure the power is off. We don't want anyone getting hurt doing this, so this is able to help you easily test if the power is on and off. Then you'll need some wire cutters. So here I use these and some wire strippers. And then you'll also need a jerry rig everything knife, not sponsored. Then if you are doing this, so in this room we have an attic above, so we're able to get up there and easily route the wires. In my previous video that I did, I was doing this in a basement. That was a lot harder, but these fish line pole was a lot easier to help route the line from one can light to the other. So we won't be needing this too much here today, but if you are doing a basement or something like that, this is very important to have, or even if you're just doing it by yourself. Next, we need some can lights. Today's video, Lumary provided these. These are Wafer can lights. So they're canless. They are IC rated, so we have some insulation above here that we'll be able to use without any problem. And then these are also smart, so we'll be able to connect them to Wi-Fi and be able to control each of them, the different colors. So we'll be using 6 of these today. And then there is a junction box that will wire to. And with the junction box, you will need to pick up some of these. These are non-metallic push-in connectors. So this helps the wire stay in the junction box and keep it up to code. And then we will also be using this Milwaukee can drill. So this is able to help us easily cut out our cans, and then without making a huge mess, this is able to collect all the dust. And then I also have a tape measure and other things, and then you might want to use a stud finder just to make sure you're not hitting the joists above. But the great thing about these canless lights or wafer lights is you can put them pretty much right over a stud if you do run into one, because they just clip on each side. So as long as you can get to 2 sides that are across from each other, you should have no problem. Okay, now that you have all the tools, the next step is to plan where you want your cans. Now when I do this, I go to a website, I think it's the Recessed Can Lighting website or something, but it's able to help you plan out where you want your canned lights, depending on where you want the lighting in the room. A few tips that I've heard from others is make sure you light up different walkways, as well as if you light up the walls, that helps make the room feel more bright as well. So you can use those tips however you like, but I found a lot of great details on the website. So we have already gone through and marked out where we're going to put the cans in here. We just put some string and pinned it up to make sure that everything was lined up correctly to see exactly where those are gonna go. It does come with a whole template that you could use. Before I've made like 6 of these, and you can put them around the room to see where they go, but I kind of like this string idea. And then we mark the holes and we're ready to drill them out. I'm gonna head up to the attic, move some of the insulation away so that doesn't all fall through. Then once we cut out the holes, now we are going to put the wiring through each hole. So let's get to that point. So here we have the string laying out the 6 different can lights in the room. So just where it intersects there, we're going to put a mark for where we're going to cut the hole. Now we need to take down the string and we're gonna drill a little hole, put the fishing line up to see where that is going to go up in the attic, and then clear the space so all the insulation doesn't fall through. And now this light is on a 3-way switch, so there's a light switch right over here and a light switch over on this side. And so once we have the cans in, then I'm just going to take the line here that's powering the light, and I'm gonna move that to the first can, and then I'm going to run the line to each can just in a series. So I will need to be in the attic to find where this line is powered from, and that will help wire the rest. I got roped into doing the hard job up in the attic. Let's go. It's getting hot. Okay, the goal is to not fall through. Oh look, a shovel. Okay, I found a stick. Yep. Okay, number 2. All right, now that we have that, next we need to find the wiring for the existing light. All right, so there is the existing light that we will use to wire the other cans. Okay, let's get down there and drill the holes. Don't breathe that. So when removing the fixture, I'm going to use my voltage tester to make sure there's no power coming through. It would beep or turn solid red if there was. And then I'm going to remove the existing fixture, and now we have our wires we're going to use to tie in the new wires. So I'm going to put a line from the existing fixture through here. We are going to have a cap for this junction box just to make everything easy. And if you're dealing with a single pole light switch, you'll just take the wires that go to the existing light and you'll put that at the first can light. Now let's run the cable through these. All right, now that we have all of the holes cut, next we need to do the wiring. So what I'm going to do is feed the wire through and come out and kind of loop it between each hole, and then we'll be able to install the junction box. All right, now we have all the wires run to each light. So let's go ahead and wire our first light. So here we're using the Lumary 6-inch 13-watt 1100 lumen light. Now this box comes with 4. Here you can see they are an 80 CRI, 110 degrees of light that comes out there. There's all the other specifications. Now one thing with this is it cannot be on a dimmable switch. You use it from the app. You can use it from an included remote, or you can use it from your voice assistant. So here inside the box, we have the 4 lights. It comes with a little wiring guide. There it comes with a remote. So each of these lights has a junction box. So with the junction box, you have 2 knockouts here, and then it's attached to the light here. All right, so now we're going to lock those on the drywall. And to get these installed, you can easily detach the light from the junction box, just so that's not hanging in the way. And then for the junction box here, open that up. Here we have a line and the neutral, and then here we have a ground. So to wire this, first I'm going to take my knockouts out. So those easily come out like that. Just kind of wiggle it back and forth until they break off. Some of them you'll only have one, so don't go ahead and pull them all out. Some of them you only have one, but here, this first box, we're gonna have 2. So now that I have those knocked out, I'm going to grab my pushing connectors, and these are 3/8. So I'm just gonna place that in there, and then when I push my wire through there, it's gonna lock it into place so the wire can't easily be pulled out. So I'll put the wires in on this way, and then I'll wire them up. So it does come with wire nuts to get everything wired together. Next, we're gonna push in the wire through the push-in connectors. Then I'm going to strip the wire. This is where the Jerry Rig Everything knife comes handy. Then I'm going to remove the sleeve, and I also take off the paper around the ground as well. And then we're going to strip each of the wires. And then I'm going to attach all the ground together, all of the black together, and then all the white together. All right, now we're gonna shove everything in there. I like to have the ground on one side and the hot neutral on the other. Then we can close the junction box and place it in there, and now we can attach the light. Screw that on. And you can see we did have a beam right here, but the good news is we can just place it anywhere. Snap that there. And one is done. And here we have the existing light where I have added a new line. I'm then going to connect the ground, neutral, and line to where they were connected to the old light. Wire nut those off and plug this back in, put a cap on. Now we're ready to turn on the power. I now have finished wiring, and we just turned on the power, and would you look at that? They all work. That is awesome. So if you start to see some flashing, that means it's ready to be paired to the Lumary app to connect to your Wi-Fi. To get all of them in pairing mode, we need to turn the switch on and off 3 times to be able to put them in pairing mode. So let's head to the Lumary app to get it connected. So here we're going to head into the app. I'm going to tap Add New Device. Here it wants us to agree to the location permission so that it can do routines based on location. It's asking me to turn on Bluetooth, but it also wants me to turn on nearby devices permissions. So I'm going to go to set, and then I'm going to tap permissions here, and then nearby devices, and I'm going to allow. Then if we head back, now it's showing all of those devices have been discovered. So we're going to tap add, and now we're going to add our Wi-Fi network and password. And now it's going to go through the process of adding each one of those. So there it already added one, and now it's going to add the other 5. So once they've been added, I can go through and give them a new name just to make it a little bit easier to control from the app and by voice. So I just click the edit here, and we're going to call this Dining Room 1. All right, we've added them all and given them their own name. So we're going to tap done here. And now I have individual control of the lights. So I can go through and turn on any one I want. All right, we got the one light up here. I can tap on the light, and then here I have all the different color functions and dimming capabilities right here. So I can press the power to turn it on. I can change it from the 6500 Kelvin down to a lower number. So if you like a more warm light, or here we can go really warm. Then if I want to go color, I just swipe over, and now we have the full RGB scale. So I can just choose a color. You can go see. That's going to be really fun at night when these all have their own unique color. Now let's go ahead and connect the included remote. The batteries are not included. You'll need 2 AAA. So to pair the remote, you will need to turn the light off and then turn it on. And once it's on, it will be in pairing mode for the next 30 seconds. Then on the remote, hold down the group you want it to be paired to. So let's group it to B. So I'm going to hold down B, and then we should see all of the lights flash just like that. And now they are paired to the remote, and this works over Bluetooth. So now if I want to control the B group, I press B and I can turn them all off. I can push it again to turn them on. Now that they're connected to the internet, let's go ahead and get them connected to our voice assistant. So today we're going to use Amazon Alexa to connect them. So we're going to head into the Amazon Alexa app, go to the More down at the bottom and select Skills. And then we're going to search for the Lumary skill and then click there and sign into our account. And then they'll all be added into Alexa. We can put them here in the dining room. So then we can ask to turn on and off the dining room lights. We can ask it to turn off the lights at any time. So really cool. Let's go to that. Alexa, turn off the dining room.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on the dining room.
Okay.
So here in the app, when you head to the Me option, you can go to Home Management and then give your home a name. You can add different rooms. So here we have 6 different rooms. There we have the dining room, and then I can quickly add all of these devices into the dining room. So I just tap on them like that. And you can see that it added the remote here into the app. There's not much you can do here, but it's just showing that the remote is linked here in the dining room. So let's go ahead and save that. Now when we go back to the main page, here under Home, you have your different devices here. So I can then scroll over, and I could delete the rooms I'm not using, but here we have the dining room. So it's nice that they're all in one. All right, now that we have everything connected, it's time to clean up and wait for it to get dark. The sun has now gone down, and we can see how these lights actually operate. So first, let's talk about the ways in which you can control the lights. So the first way is just to use the switch. So we can turn them off. We can turn them on. Now, when you do turn off the switch, that cuts power to the devices. So you would no longer be able to use them through the app or through voice assistants. So make sure you have it on when you need it on. And if you just want to kill it, you do have that option. The second way is through the remote. So here I can simply press power, it turns off all the lights, power them back on just like that. And then the third way is to use the Lumary app. So I did need to go in and create different scenes where it turns off all lights in the room at one time. So here I can turn off the dining room, and then here I can turn the dining room back on. Now I am noticing there's a little bit of flickering, like a couple lights are turning on a little slower than the others. So that's kind of one thing that happens when you do have each individual light being controlled over Wi-Fi, which is kind of interesting. I've never had it done this way, but there's some really fun things that you can do with this. And then the last way is to use your voice assistant. So you could use Amazon Alexa or you can use Google Assistant. Just go into those apps and add the Lumary skill, and then you'll be able to connect to your different lights. Okay, great. Now let me show you some of the different colors and how bright and dim these different lights can get. So in these different examples, I'll try to make it look as best to my eye as I can here on camera. So here we have the lights on, and I'll be using the remote to control this. So I'm just going to press power. There they are off. Power, there they are on. Now let's go ahead and change the Kelvin. So this is going to do minus, and it's going to make them more warm. So that's as warm as they get, not too warm actually. That should be 2700 Kelvin. And then if we push the plus, that's going to change to much more white. So that's going to be all the way up to 6500 Kelvin, which that is actually pretty white. You can see it's showing blue here on the screen, but it's a little bit better here in the real life. And I think this is a pretty comfortable kind of that 5000, 4000 Kelvin. Okay, now let's go ahead and adjust the brightness. So those are all the way up, and now we can go down. It's a really nice dim level, and that's as low as they go. And I'm not noticing any flickering or anything like that. Then if we push the RGB in the middle, that's going to change the colors, and it's going to keep that brightness. So let's go ahead and turn up the brightness here. So here we have the power button. Here we can adjust the Kelvin. Here we can increase or decrease the brightness. We can change the RGB color. Here in the middle, if we push the brightness, it goes back to white. Here we have the night light. And then down here, we have the different groups. So you have group A, B, C, D. And then here we can switch through the scenes just by pressing. Sometimes if it doesn't interact with the button, you do have to push it once to kind of wake it up, and then you can push it again. Now let's check out what you can do within the app. So here in the Lumary app, I'm going to create a scene. So if I tap scene, then I have an option to create these tap to run scenes. Here you can see I've made one to turn off the lights with the push of a button or to turn on the lights. If I tap the plus up here, I can then create a new tap to run scene, or I can create different schedules. So I could have the lights change when the weather changes. I could set a schedule where they automatically turn on at sunset and turn off at 10 p.m. or something like that. So in the weather, you can go through, choose one of those options, or you have the schedule. So here you can just set the time. And then you also have when other device changes. So if I change one light, the rest of them change. So you can set all those up there, but we're gonna do the tap to run. So if I tap tap to run and then click the three-dot menu up here, it gives me the option to give it a name. So let's say I wanna make a scene called colors. And then here we can choose the different style that's going to be and an icon, and that we want it shown on the homepage, okay? Then I can add different items. So we can run device, we can delay actions, we can do different things. So I'm gonna run a device, and I'm gonna choose the first light here, and I can change the color to something. So let's go ahead and choose green. I could change the mode, I can change the timer, on, off, the white setting, all that. So I'm just gonna change the color. Then I'm gonna go through and add another run device. Let's do 2, color, change it a color, and so on. So let me go add all of those. All right, I have now added all the 6 different lights in here, set them to a color, and then I'm going to tap save, and now we have a new colors option. Now that I have that tap to run scene created, I can just press the button and boom, all of the lights in the room change color. So you can set these to your favorite colors, really fun, and then you can make a scene to turn them back to white, or I like to just use the remote, and with the press of a button, I can turn it back to white. Now you can actually create a group and create different scenes within the app with this. So let's go ahead and do that. So for this, I'm going to tap on one of the lights, and then I'm going to tap the edit option in the top right. And down here, I have the option to create group. So when I create a group, I can then group all these together. So when I change one, it's going to change them all at the same time instead of having to create a scene. So we're just going to call it dining room group. Excellent. So now we have a page where we can adjust all the lights at once. So if I press power, turns them all off, press it again, turns them all on. If I change the color here, it's going to change them on all of them at the same time, which is really great. Here I can swipe over, go to different colors, so I can set them all to the same color. Really fun. But down here at the bottom, I have a few other options. I can do scenes. So in here, there are some preset scenes that you can use that make them all interact with each other. So let's go ahead and choose the read, or let's go working. Okay, change a little bit. Let's go leisure. What about colorful? So here you can see some of those scenes that I was using on the remote. Those are showing up here. Here's one called Gorgeous. So that's kind of nice, changing through the different colors. And then down here we have some other recommended scenes that you can't get to from the remote. So here I have the night light. I have spring buds, summer coolness, autumn gold, winter warmth, coral red, vitality orange, cheese yellow, interesting name, and so on. There are tons of different ones here. Let's go ahead and choose American style. So, and the scenes have different programs in them. So here it's changing the colors as it is on that scene. So you can just kind of set the scene, let it be, and it will flicker through different colors. Then next you have the option to choose music. So if you want your lights to interact with music, you can do that as well. So there I just had to place my phone right next to the speaker with the microphone, and then it changes the colors here. You can see it's kind of changing because it's hearing me talk. So then over here you have some settings where you can adjust the schedule. So you can have them, that group, turn on or off at the same time. Then you have power on behavior. So if you turn them on from the light switch, what are they going to do? Are they going to go back to what they were previously set as, or are you going to have them go to a previous setting? Or are you going to have them just go to what was last used? So a few different options there. Here you can just do initial mode, where it's going to initial default color and brightness. And then last here you have Lumary, which allows you to go and learn more about different products they have on their website. And there we go, back to the working scene. So overall, I think these are pretty great can lights. The install does get a little bit intense, but if you have the option to get up in an attic, that makes it so much easier. And once you get these installed, it's just so nice to have the option to have so much more light in this room. Before there was only one little tiny light, and now as you can see, it just totally fills up this room. We just use 6 in here, but of course you could add as many or as just a couple as you want. So overall, I think the product is really cool. I love having this remote so that at any time, anybody can interact with the device. If you always have to use the app or always Alexa, most people aren't going to be using that. But with this remote being able to change so many things, this is going to be kept somewhere very close where it can always be used. And I love that one remote can pair multiple groups. So if I had multiple rooms with these in, I could control them all from this one device, which is really, really neat. So if you have any further questions about the Lumary canned lights with all the different colors, let me know in the comments below. And if you would like to see more about this product, you can check out the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.